2 minutes to go.
Seb, can you give me a sign when we should start? We're going.
Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome to the beautiful Gulf of Follonica. We're off Scarlino for the second event of the 2022-2023 52 Super Series, and it's the third time we've been here in Scarlino. 2017 we were here in May, light conditions then generally. We're expecting the same this week, and of course we're here in September last year, and we saw winds up to 25 knots at times, very different, and we saw lots of action then. But I think this is going to be a light breeze week, certainly light sea breezes today. 8 to 9 knots on the start line just now. The breeze is at 265. It's been shifting around a little bit over the training days, so the consensus among the afterguards is it's a very much more open venue than we saw in Saint-Tropez earlier on in the month. Of course, Preveza come here with a 6-point lead on the 52 Super Series standings. They showed great consistency in Saint-Tropez, but not far behind were Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, and also Gladiator. They were locked together on equal points in second and third places. We saw 6 different boats winning races there. That's an indication of how close, how equal this fleet is, and we are very close coming under starters orders for this first race of the day. We should get 2 races in today. Say light breezes, nice flat water. It should be quite open, quite even, but in general the group seems to be towards the committee boat end of the line. It's all about making a safe start at this stage in the regatta for sure, trying to find a space to drive off into, to build speed and minimise the risk. We saw quite a few teams who were granted were a little bit rusty in the early part of the first regatta of the season in terms of timing and starting, and it was the boats which started best in the early part of the week which really got away to a flying start. So looking at things just now, we can see Alpha Plus well forward up towards the committee boat end of the line. Down this end of the line we have Allegre and Phoenix and Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic. Now, key news from the Quantum camp is that John Kostecki is not able to be with the team this week. He has a medical issue which has just come to light, and so he's not able to sail this week. He's replaced in the after, or there's been a reshuffle in the afterguard. They have one of their technical team on board as a navigator, but it'll be down to Victor, the new strategist navigator. Victor de Leon comes in and will be performing multiple roles once again. But nice start from Platoon. As the gun goes. Good start from Quantum round this end of the line. Harry Melges, young Harry Melges steering. One boat looking like that's Alpha Plus, I think. And maybe have been over the line, but certainly second rank off the line. Privetza not such a good start. They're a little bit further back and tacking off early, but a good start from Allegre. Their bow forward and Phoenix just a little bit squeezed on this left side of the group. They're just in the lee of Platoon and getting a little bit of exhaust from Quantum, so not a great position for Phoenix, not a good start. Interlodge also a little bit poor off the line, 2 boat lengths behind the leaders already, but as I said, Platoon started nicely. Sled can't live on their hip and have to tack away, and Platoon then enhancing their position all the time. I would say they have control of Quantum just now. But Allegre were super consistent and really were in the frame in Saint-Tropez until the final day. They had one awful windward mark rounding, got stuck, and that cost them dearly, cost them a place on the podium for sure. But they are definitely one of my teams to watch here in Scarlino. It's always been quite a good venue for them, and they force Quantum to tack off. So Allegre can have control off this left side. For those of you who follow the teams on Instagram, it was great to see the 470 aces Nick Asher and Will Ryan meeting up with the Australian medal maker Victor Kovalenko, who's here with a big boat project, or a TP52 project, which is going to Australia. Victor coached Will Ryan, obviously, has been responsible for a big number of the Australian 470 medals with Matt Belcher, Will Ryan, and so on over the recent Olympics. So they have a nice position, Allegre out on this left side. Platoon going nicely in the middle of the fleet. Phoenix just a boat length or a boat length and a half behind after getting squeezed in the lane they were in, although I'm liking the looks of I think it's Sled and Vayu. Sled in the middle of the pack, Vayu over on the far right. Remember, as I said, Vayu won the practice race. Platoon were nice and consistent in yesterday's 2 practice races, and the French team on Paprec also in the mix on that right side. But Vayu goes really well in these conditions, as we've seen many times over now. They get off the start line and can impose themselves early on. Plenty of talent on board with Olympic silver medalist Nick Rogers. As the tactician. So good wind pressure now, certainly 9 knots, maybe building just a little bit. And certainly summer is arriving here in Tuscany. Italy's had a really tough couple of weeks. The pro sailors who were racing in Capri and in Sardinia had a very wet and windy week, and certainly this is more like the brochure conditions we would expect here. But really nothing in it at the moment. I think Allegri, we're right beside them, strengthening their hand, although on port tack for the moment. I think Platoon would probably cross them. And in the meantime, I think Value going right out to the starboard tack ley line. The very experienced navigator Francesco Mongelli. We spoke to him a few times before the start of the regatta, saying how strong the team spirit is on board Allegra just now. I think they have nine out of the team go cycling together, enjoying each other's company and really sailing their best for the moment. And I think keen to make amends for that final day in Saint-Tropez. But so too Preveza have a little bit of work to do just now, but we're notably quick in these conditions in Saint-Tropez. So they're tacking now. So really at this level there's no real differences in boat speed upwind, just fractions of a knot here and there. Watching Preveza now converging with Platoon. Platoon will be clear ahead, but Preveza trying to find themselves a lane early on. They have a nice high, quite a high line, a little bit of a starboard tack lift, I think. Closing with Quantum just now. Quantum will cross, but not by very much. And Preveza may be able to pin the lee bow on them, but I think they'll be about a boat length behind. But certainly certainly close with these two. So too with Allegra. And indeed what happens is Quantum elect to tack under onto starboard. Meantime Allegra are going to go across the two of them, or tack underneath them in fact. Don't think they would have crossed. So forced back out to this left side by Quantum and Preveza. Preveza taking control then of these two boats off the right. It's a really nice move there from Hamish Pepper and Colle Parada. Just meters in it really. Able to force these two boats back out to the right side. Meantime I think it's looking good for Value on that right side. It's going to be fascinating to see who's in the top three at this top mark. It's also always about minimising the number of attacks, number of manoeuvres. So Vayu looking good, Sled looking good on that right side, Platoon going back. As we were saying with Nacho Postigo yesterday, he was just saying it's all about consistency. You don't need to go out and win all the races, it's about bringing in the low averages every day. And Allegra choose to attack on this left side. So unfortunately Interlodge are way back after that start. They're already 150 metres behind the fleet. So for me, I think the right side is coming in strong, as you might expect in this sea breeze, but Allegra going back. Vayu and Sled just trying to hold their position on that right side. Spoke with Andrea Vicentini yesterday, the navigator on Sled, and Sled of course were really good here last year. Just didn't quite manage to make it to the top of the podium at the last days, but it really feels they have a good handle on the breeze here. But Allegra going back actually with a nice line. And if you can look at how much they've lifted away from Quantum, considering they were side by side, really, really nice work I think from Will Ryan and Nick Asher. So they are obviously going back at Platoon on starboard, Allegra on port going across. Absolutely even at the moment. Allegra bow to bow just now with Vayu and Sled. A little bit more pressure on this left side perhaps. Just now watching, we were right beside Phoenix and they're just powering things up, lifting very slightly. Tony Norris steering on the Phoenix, Santi Lang as tactician and Cameron Dunn strategist, Shane Elliott navigator, Paul Wilcox on the main sheet. Interesting, they just appear to be sailing slightly lower, just a couple of degrees, and going faster than the boats to weather in the meantime. Whether they take this back on a port tack lift going back at the fleet, I don't know. Heading round to the windward mark. Just get my So the top mark then is, as we said, it appears to be Vayu, Don and or the Whitcraft family. Actually, Phoenix coming in quite nicely, but Sled will be round, I think, in second. It's all about the getting into the lineup. So the top mark, as we saw yesterday, it's the Whitcraft family from Thailand. Nick Rogers calling the shots, leading at the top mark by boat length and a half. Platoon just getting squeezed in the final seconds, but Sled getting around in second, Paprec in third. Platoon getting into a little bit of bother on the mark, just trying to shoot the mark, just I think just missing it. And the same situation for Allegra having to try and shoot as well. We'll see whether we end up with penalties here, but Phoenix actually get round the outside quite nicely. I think Allegra just managing to stay off the mark and holding Interlodge off. Interlodge getting back into this match late on in the upwind. Quantum ending up going round the outside and coming round with Phoenix. And actually it's Alpha Plus that are well back, not Interlodge. Apologies for that. So Platoon doing the early jibe, or no, in fact Platoon doing their turns as we expected, just fouling the boats outside them at the top mark. Interlodge doing a jibe set inside Platoon, a little bit of a handbrake turn. Green flagged for Platoon, their penalty is cleared, but that cost them once again. Really just too many risks on the Platoon. And Allegra also having to do turns, same reason, getting stuck at the windward mark. So they're dropping places. That's a very costly way to start the regatta for Platoon and Allegra. Allegra were in a nice position, so too were Platoon, having worked up the beat well. But meantime, credit to Vayu, to Sled, Paprec and Phoenix. Top four boats have a little bit of a jump on Quantum Racing. Michele, of course, has great experience here as well. And yeah, Preveza then I think crossing or certainly converging with Quantum Racing. So a little gain I think to Preveza up this on this upwind. Platoon back in the race a little bit. Platoon having to tack out of the dirty air of Preveza and Quantum. I think they want to get a clear lane, get out to the right of them onto the starboard ley line or close to it. Meantime, Gladiator working the extreme left. Ergen Imrie, the owner of Preveza, having a great time today. Really enjoyed the win in Saint-Tropez. I think he said it was 43 years after the first time he'd been there. So the teams that have won here before, well, Quantum Racing won here last year. That was in September, and generally quite big gradient breezes. Then way back in 2017 when we had the Rolex TP52 World Championship here. That was a win for the first of two World Championship wins for Platoon. Was here, and I remember that year in May with a real mix of breezes, sometimes very light. I think we lost a day in 2017, but it was very shifty on the final day. Anyway, sled really going nicely. We've opened out quite a lead over Paprec, Bayou and Phoenix. So we're going to get ourselves up to the windward mark in a few minutes. Gladiator rolling the dice out on that left side. Phoenix come in from the left as well. Interesting talking with Cameron Dunn yesterday about the evolving relationship at the back of the boat with Santi Lang and navigator Shane Elliott, learning the different style of Santi compared with Tom Slingsby. Of course, it's talking about the evolution of the afterguard on sled, and if Murray Jones has moved forward from strategist to tactician, very comfortable in the role, of course, with the input of Michele Avaldi, who also, of course, was navigator in Quantum before, but is also a very excellent tactician in his own right. So top mark, second time up. Well, actually it is sled with quite a comfortable lead. Value, by staying on the right, have got back through Phoenix. Paprec are going round in second, again the right paying off. So Phoenix have a little bit of work to do to get back into the podium positions in this race. Paprec quite comfortable. Our cameraman on board getting some great images, I think. May have to spend a week on board if he's the lucky charm on the Paprec, but Paprec comfortably clear of bow number 27, which is Value. Setting up for the kite set, and then Phoenix, Juan Juan Pablo Marcos on the bow, and they have on Phoenix have a little bit of breathing space ahead of Quantum. Platoon tacking on the bow of Provezza tacking on the bow of Platoon, losing a little bit of pace but holding position relative to Platoon. So this looks like a nice final run, race one. Sled's race to lose, as some would have it. Just nice, need to keep a little bit of a cover on the boats behind, and Phoenix initiating the first move, jibing away from the downwind train. I think they're in quite a nice lane of pressure. So Quantum in fifth. Victor Diaz de Leon watching the breeze behind. Greg Gundell has to go out on the bowsprit to clear the tack. The two Vrolic boats, Provezza and Platoon, side by side, although Platoon jibe early. Platoon Vasco Vescotto joined the team here in 2022, and once they had the communication sorted out, they finished very, very strongly, not only here but also in Barcelona. But at the moment I think that Platoon are having too many visits from the umpires to be really, really effective. Need to wind back the risk. Which is easier said than done in this fleet, where a metre here and there can make a difference at the windward mark, for example, when it was absolutely critical to protect their position going round the top mark. Same for Allegra. Just a question of a metre or two here and there. Ended up having to shoot the mark with very limited speed, and then fouling boats. Same applies to Allegra then. Anyway, it's so important to put these kind of mistakes behind you, learn from them and get on with the second race, heading down to the finish line. Just a little bit of a challenge of downwind speed then to the finish. I see a great race going on between Paprec, Vayu and Phoenix. I think it's going to be close between the three of them. Phoenix way out on the left side, Vayu in the middle, Paprec blue-hulled French boat on the right flank. Perhaps Phoenix just ahead. Phoenix have been traditionally quick downwind. Little surge from Paprec on this right side, we're right beside them. Little puff, just moving forward on the boats to their left. This could make all the difference. Nice work by the trimming team. Just giving themselves half a boat length of a gain on the boats on their left. It's going to be all about the angle into the finish. I wonder whether Phoenix can scrape a second out of this. Say they did not have the best of starts, and I think a team that the confidence is building all the time. And I kind of think, well, actually second or third in this race is the result is one thing, but the bonding, the building of confidence in the afterguard, being able to come back from a modest start and put in a good counting result will be even more significant. And more, I think the same thing applies with Paprec, proving that they're competitive. They can have higher expectations than previous years on the circuit when they were a little bit disadvantaged by having an older boat and a more modest program. Anyway, no problems just now for the sled team. They're just gently rolling down to the finish line. The main part of their work is done in terms of getting themselves into winning position, but I think a signal of their intent perhaps here. Missed out on winning last year, but pretty ominous in terms of boat speed. Meantime, quite a bit of wind pressure coming down from that left side, and Value fully arced up to go behind Paprec. Really, we're quite powered up, trying to get round the back of Paprec, or getting round the outside of Paprec, but Paprec with the controlling position in the middle. I wonder whether that may be to the advantage of the French team, or indeed to Phoenix. I think Phoenix are going to struggle to get through Value. Perhaps it's all about boat speed.
live.
So coming through the finish line, the next few seconds, Sled will be the winners of race 1 here in Scarlino. Super strong here last year. A couple of Italians at the back of the boat, Andrea Vicentini and Michele Avaldi. Murray Jones as tactician, and of course Mr. Akura on the helm. It was very much an international team. Or yeah, they'll jibe. Phoenix jibe behind Vayu jibing now. Small bias to the committee vote into the line. It's going to be all about this jibe. Vayu should get third, so second for Paprec. Great result for Paprec then, best of the season so far. So too I think for Vayu.
All good on your end?
So it's going to be close for fifth, but they're doing a lot better than Allegra, recovered a lot better than Allegra. And Interlodge.
Can you kick me off, Seth? Can you kick place off?
And then three boats almost side by side. Gladiator. Final race winners, I think, in Saint-Tropez, coming in with 9th place. And it's Allegra then, disappointing for them. They were so good up the beat all the way to the top mark, with Alpha Plus not far behind them, and they were a long way back at one point. So Allegra get 10th and Alpha Plus 11th.
Okay, just, yes, I restart. Significantly since the previous start. Wind angle still about 260 degrees, so it stayed fairly static as well. Good race then for Sled, who have the initiative leading the regatta after that race win. Also good for Patrick and Bayou. Phoenix, a little bit modest on the first upwind, but got themselves into the top mark in, I think, fourth place. And they really managed to hold that all the way around. So a team on the rise, I think. The early initiative with Sled. We're just looking at the start. You don't hear him at all, or?
You just to windward of Crevet's attack off early from the hip of Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic. Actually, just a little bit more wind this time, I think. And Phoenix make a much better start this time. So bow forward just now on that right side are Gladiator. Top four boats just now: Gladiator, Crevet's, Quantum and Phoenix probably. Bayou tacking off, and I think Alpha Plus will go as well. So Crevet's in a much stronger position, and really Allegra having a little bit of a horror show of a day so far, unfortunately. But Alpha Plus really doing quite a good job of keeping their lines clear, getting themselves a nice lane early on. That was a conservative start towards the pin end of the line. Gave themselves space to do the final speed build. And once they get themselves into position, Alpha Plus, the old Luna Rossa, is quite a quick boat, same vintage as the Bayou. So Platoon coming out to the left, looking upwind. So let's see whether the right is as strong. I think it's quite even. Let's see whether the count of the right does come strong again. We're right alongside Sean and Tina Kang's Alpha Plus. Have themselves quite a nice position here on this left of the group. The only boat further out the left now is Platoon. For me, the strongest position just now, though, it is that of Phoenix. So Phoenix, I think, a team on the ascent really, after a tough start in the Saint-Tropez. Starting to sail with a little bit of confidence in each other. Certainly the afterguard is no changes in the trimming team and the speed team really. But the afterguard, as I said, with Santi Lang coming in. It's all about learning the communication and the subtleties. Simon Dobney, trimmer, we're just watching him on the Alpha Plus, America's Cup winner. Beautiful conditions really. Little bit of haze though compared to the spring light of Saint-Tropez, the Côte d'Azur. however, it's splitting hairs if you like. It's really beautiful flat water. So Interlodge and Allegri have some work to do. Got stuck on the start line. I think Provezza have themselves in a more useful position this time compared to fighting a little bit of a rear guard action in the previous race. They got themselves up into 6th place, I think, in the end, just behind Quantum through the line. Once again, their nearest protagonist, their nearest rivals are Quantum. So from the right side, first attack is Gladiator, ahead of Paprika, and Sled furthest out to the right. The Gladiator coming across on starboard will be, I think, just behind Quantum. Just half a boat length in it. Let's watch Gladiator on Phoenix. Phoenix, I think, will be about the same distance ahead, half a boat length or so, maybe a boat length. But this is the key stages, you know, where a metre here or there can make all the difference. But Allegri fighting back after that poor start. Sled certainly behind Phoenix. I think Phoenix probably the strongest for the moment. Although on this right side, to weather of Paprika, see Paprika in a nice high line relative to Phoenix. Phoenix are quite low and fast compared to Provezza. So fascinating upward leg. A little bit of separation now, lateral separation. Paprika on the extreme right, along with Provezza and Quantum. And Gladiator tacking under the lee bow of Sled. I think Sled will just have the pace to ride over them. Bayou tacking underneath the Gladiator in the mix very much. Alpha Plus really trying to stay clear of the traffic. And Interlodge meantime way out on that left side. Again, I think we're now starting to see the right strengthen as we did in the top third of the beat. I don't know whether you will see on the tracking the topography, but we have this big wide flat valley up to the right side of the course, and clearly that gives a little bit of a geographic lift on starboard the further you get out to the right. Then the breeze funnels down between the two islands which are directly upwind. You get a stronger pressure on the middle left going upwind, and then furthest out to the left, and I guess there's a port tack lift, but it's a long way across. But really on the high right, or the right of the race course, this big flat valley and long piece of flat land. So certainly that's what's influencing the right side of the course. Indeed, you're just starting to see that starboard tack lift working over on that right side. Actually, Quantum probably have the best of it, and they're to weather of Phoenix. It's going to be all about the ley line. As we saw in the previous race, you really can't afford to come in too tight, too late, undercook the ley line. Better to just be a little bit more conservative. That really caught Platoon and Allegri out. So we're on the first beat of race 2 here in Scarlino. Winners of the first race were Provezza, Paprec second, Vayu third, Phoenix fourth, Quantum fifth, and Provezza sixth. Let's see what the order is round this top mark. It is really close at the moment. To me, we're up at the windward mark. It's just all about the ley line. Whether Phoenix can lay from there. So Phoenix navigator Shane Elliott just inside Quantum. Provet's a little bit fatter on ley line, but coming across from the left we have Sled, race 1 winners. Sled having to go behind the Phoenix. So at the top mark then it's the South African flag team on Phoenix, the Plattner family's TP52, second overall last season, leading around the top mark, fourth in the first race. Tony Norris driving. Quantum Racing powered by American Magic round in second, Greg Gundell pulling the tack of the kite out to the bow. Sled round in third, overlapped with Provezza. Actually Platoon coming round next in fifth place, just half a bow length ahead of Vayu. Paprec in seventh. Next round will be Allegre, then Gladiator, Alpha Plus, and then Interlodge. Once again, Interlodge really not getting off the start line. So everybody going for a straight bear away set, pretty active. A little bit of a puff, and Platoon just trying to power over the top of Provezza as best they can. And Sled keeping the boats behind them up to weather, just keep sailing a high course, protecting Provezza, Platoon and Value from going over the top of them. Change of course. Early jibes from Allegre, Gladiator and Alpha Plus. But this should be to Phoenix's advantage. Able to sail on a slightly lower course, sailing a shorter distance to the leeward mark. But it's a great little scrap here between Platoon, Vayu and Provezza. And Provezza elect to jibe away, as do Paprec. It's a nice little lineup up here. So a bit of a split in the fleet then. 3 boats going down that left side. Allegre, Gladiator and Alpha Plus, I think. Everybody sailing higher on this right side, looking downwind. Vayu trying to rise up on Platoon. And in the end electing to jibe, so Phoenix protecting nicely out in front.
Driving.
So Quantum are the only boat really to go far out to the right side, looking downwind. It's going to be all about finding the best lane of pressure down this run. I think a little bit more lateral separation this time than we saw in the previous runs. And maybe just an impression, but down this run, real boat speed race. Preveza for me going quite well down that middle left. Paprec very much holding their own at least. But I think really Phoenix very much fired up and fighting. And overall their finish in Saint-Tropez not representative of the talent that they have on board, nor the programme, and I think super keen to prove that here, and so far doing a very good job of it. But so too Preveza on that left side. I would have them potentially even with Phoenix, although Phoenix now have a nice strand of breeze. So too have Sled and Platoon just to weather of them, moving a little bit quicker and getting a little header, able to sail a little bit deeper relative to Preveza on that left side. A really nice acceleration from Sled and also Platoon. These conditions, when it's quite puffy and streaky, it's all about changing gears and making the most use of the changes in wind pressure. So Sled converging with Preveza, and it's quite close, but Sled will still be ahead, and we're looking away out to the right side to see how the Quantum Racing are doing, and I don't think they've made any big impression. So it's Peter Cowell who's on board in the hot seat on Quantum Racing. They're, I believe they're from the technical electronic side of the shore team. He's navigating. Whoa, 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 whoa. Anyway, I think they've made a little gain down that right side. Certainly close with Phoenix. We're just picking them up on the right side now. Could be a nice move from Quantum. You see in this breeze is as soon as you get any more pressure downwind, you're able to sail deeper. And just now you're watching Sled, Preveza, and it was Platoon just sailing higher and slightly lighter pressure. Also Sled keeping Preveza high, Platoon jibe. But in fact, Quantum really doing very much their own thing. A little bit more pressure at this lure gate, probably 10 knots now. A few white horses. And Quantum stealing the lead down this run. They're going to the right hand mark, looking upwind. Nice drop, really perfect drop, nice and early. Give Harry Melgis, helmsman, and the team time and opportunity to get settled. Nice mark rounding. Phoenix will come round in second. They're probably 40 metres behind, maybe a little bit less. Good drop from them. Then Sled just jibing, coming back on starboard, and I think just as much as anything protecting against keeping, actually that's what's happening, they're forced Privetza around the left hand mark and taking the right hand mark for themselves. Platoon coming in next, so after Phoenix it will be Privetza on the left hand mark, Sled on the right hand mark, and Platoon. So from the top it's Quantum Racing, Phoenix, Privetza, Sled, Platoon, and then Vayu. Patrick dropping into the mix a little bit this time and ending up having to sail a long distance across to the right hand mark. Then comes Interlodge in the left hand mark, Patrick in the right hand mark, and Gladiator, Allegra and Alpha Plus 9, 10 and 11, but really actually pretty even through this gate. So great run then from the Quantum guys and girls. Probably 10 knots of breeze now. Dropped a little bit down that run perhaps. It's always hard to tell on the chase boat going upwind. I think probably not doing badly where they are on this kind of left side. For sure they have a nice clear lane, not being troubled by anyone else. But interesting, Quantum say taking the lead on that downwind, getting out to the, or carrying on out to the right and making a gain, and not getting away the same as Sled did in the first race. And Platoon, of course, winners of the World Championship here in 2017 with John Kostecki calling tactics then. Won 2 world titles with Platoon and parted company, as I said, just before this regatta last year. A little bit of a down to earth with a bump for the Gladiator team here after their success in Saint-Tropez. So just a little update for those, we had 1 or 2 questions asking what happened to Alpha Plus at the start of the first race. A couple of questions coming in on our social media channel, and they were OCS at the committee boat, late to hear the recall, and they were 3 minutes behind off the start line, so they were OCS and then 3 minutes late off the start line. So nice recovery from them in the end, getting into the back of the fleet. And actually having a decent race, albeit 9, 10, 11, having good racing. Just stop for a minute. Just stay. We don't need to go back. Just go out that way. No. Just. The thing is, we can stop there and wait rather than going round the back of them. So we're going to head up to the windward mark. who are ending up a little bit over the mark, or potentially I think maybe the mark has drifted a little bit. That seems to be indeed the case, because I think maybe the mark has overstood them. But for sure, Quantum making a gain out of that. Provezza getting round in second. Phoenix in third. So top mark, Quantum Racing leading, Provezza second, a little bit of a gap back to Phoenix. Phoenix losing Provezza on that upwind. Platoon getting round in fourth, so good upwind for them. Sled going round in fifth. So maybe in the end, my prediction, Curse of the commentator thinking that Sled would be leading the regatta, maybe that's not quite so true. At the moment they'd be tied with, I think, with Quantum. Allegra make a little gain there too on that upwind, get round in sixth. Then will be Vayu. Then in fact Interlodge, Paprick, Gladiator, Alpha Plus. So we're on the final run, second run of race 2. Nice wind pressure, 10, 11 knots maybe. Straight bearaway set for everyone. And a sprint finish. So looking like a good solid opening day here in Scarlino. One of the key things, starting on time and things running like clockwork really. Getting that second race away with the start just after 2:30. Means we should have 2 races finished by 3:30. And after some of the waiting that we ended up doing in Saint-Tropez, that's very welcome. Saint-Tropez we did 8 races and missed a day. So Scarlino delivers on day 1. It's not quite the foam up we had in September last year. But this is kind of what we expected. Light sea breezes. Breeze I think's been 260, 265 all day. So Quantum Racing once again coming out to this right side, got good pressure coming downwind. I think there's some acceleration through between the islands up to windward. Certainly they're stealing a nice low angle with speed on this downwind, or Quantum. So really in the balance down this second run, lanes of pressure, little puffs and shifts, probably more so than we saw in the previous downwind. Phoenix working hard to stay ahead of Platoon, with a boat length and a half clear. Out on that left side looking downwind, well, for me Sled look a little bit slow and in lighter pressure relative to Phoenix and Platoon, but Quantum have sailed another good run down. Second time down, right side seems to work for them. I think it's a little bit about the acceleration of the breeze coming down between the islands. There may be more of a shift in the early part of the downwind, but actually I think Phoenix coming down with pace, although perhaps running out of pressure just a little bit. So So Sled need to finish, or for me, Sled need to finish in the top 5 to hold the regatta lead. At the moment it's between Quantum, Phoenix and Provezza. Provezza potentially with a second would be on 8 points. Quantum just now would be on 6 points. And Phoenix potentially just now would be on 7 points. But still a little bit of racing down this run to go. Quantum just jibe inside the line of Provezza. My good friend Seb from GeoVision, our tracking experts, just giving us a quick update. So yeah, indeed, according to their projections, Sled would be leading on 5 points if they could get through in 4th, which is looking likely. Then Quantum would be on 6, Phoenix on 7, Provezza on 8, and then Vayu on 10. So that's as things stand, with Sled assumed to be 4th just now. So Sled fighting for the regatta lead, protecting against Platoon, but that may be too late. Just looking back upwind, may end up being a tie between Quantum Racing and Sled if Sled end up 5th. So it's going to be super close then between Platoon and Sled. But Quantum Racing putting one in the bank. Winners here in 2022, very different conditions, very different afterguard. Particularly with the absence of John Costecchi. So credit to the Quantum team regrouping, sticking to their principles, and of course a very fast boat, nicely prepared, getting through for the race win. So say that gives them 6 points off the 2 races today. The famous Keith the Brash on the back of the boat, filming the entire race. Their media guru. Next coming through the line, well, it is Provezza who will be clear and comfortable in second, so they're on 8 points, 6 in the first race. Of course, we'll finish the day still on top of the regatta standings, or sorry, the circuit standings. It came here with 6 point lead. Just, I think, will have lost a point to Quantum, otherwise they've been ahead of their main rivals through the day, or 2 points I think indeed. And then so Phoenix come through for third, they're on 7 points. Then Platoon coming through next. Platoon will steal fourth. Good work from Vasco, and the Platoon afterguard, they're just going to pip. Sled on the line. So they're on 11 points, and Sled come through for fifth. So that leaves them on 6 points as well. So on tieback though, or sorry, tieback, on count back, or count break, Quantum Racing would lead the regatta by virtue of winning the last race. Next through our Allegre. Breeze building nicely. We've seen more wind pressure down this final run than we've seen all day. However, that's life in a blue suit, as the great Jim Saltonstall would say. As Interlodge comes through the finish line now, chased by Gladiator. Paprec through for 10th, though a 12-point average for the day for the French team. Not too bad. And Alpha Plus get 11th. So, as we seem to say very, very often over the course of the 52 Super Series season, tight at the top, nothing in it between Sled and Quantum Racing. Some respects not much changed from the last time we were there. These were the two main protagonists through the week, Sled and Quantum, and indeed Allegre were up there, if I remember rightly. But it will be Quantum Racing, the regatta leaders by virtue of the tie break after day one here in Scarlino. Great conditions. Little bit of advantage on the right side, upwind, and as Quantum Racing proved, a nice gain down the right, coming downwind in that second race. Good to see the Phoenix rising back on the climb after a disappointing Saint-Tropez. And overall though, great racing, good competition, nice breezes, beautiful venue. And the key thing, absolutely up to time. Say we started on time, we're finishing on time, and there'll be time enough to go and enjoy the what's on offer back ashore in the Marina de Scarlino. So we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, do join us once again here in Scarlino for the 52 Super Series. We'll see you then.